Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SPORTING160EN podcast. Today, I'm joined by my magnificent co-host, Chris. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. I've been better. We're back to kind of the battered and bruised days. Champions League chances definitely took a hit yesterday. Got the win for the league, but not very convincing. Got some suspensions I guess we'll be dealing with going forward. And I guess Wolves still haven't signed a manager yet. So every day that manager spot remains vacant is a day that I think could be the day that we get the news. But until then, I'm just on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't say anything else than that. We're sort of back to the banter days, I suppose, the banter era of sporting. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's another sort of sour episode. You know, we did beat Santa Clara, but we did lose in very bad fashion to Marseille. And I mean, without further ado, I know we got some Twitter questions, but pretty much all of them linked to the Marseille game. So we'll start with that first. So it was a 2-0 defeat to Marseille at our home stadium, and believe it or not,
very like low key scoreline, I guess I'll say, right? Not really suggestive of what went on, to be honest, fully.
Yeah, exactly. And like the fact, like I don't think I've ever seen a Champions League game with 2 red cards, especially like. When Pot got off, I still think it was the 65th minute or something like that. It wasn't
still so much time left.
Wasn't that too far away. So yeah, without further ado, in goal we had Franco Israel replacing the suspended Adan. Had Inacio Coates who come off at halftime due to a hip before halftime actually due to a hip injury. Had Matheus Reis, Nuno Santos, Ricardo Esgaio who got sent off. Ugarte Morita who also came off once Esgaio got the second yellow. Pedro Gonzalez who also got sent off. Francisco Trincao and Marcus Edwards, who come off in the first half as well. As you can see from the bench, Fatawu was a makeshift right back. Marseille came in, Sotiris came in, and Nazinho came in, which was his first game, I believe, of the season. And Pedro Porro came back from injury. So, Chris, obviously, awful result, awful performance. What were your overall thoughts on the entire game?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like the first game. It's just kind of a game that's just so fucked from the beginning that it's tough to really even take anything really away from it as far as like performance-wise, etc. I guess we could take away a couple things that stood out. So, I mean, getting sent off and conceding a pen that's converted inside 20 minutes is going to fuck you. Basically anytime, right? We basically did the same thing. We conceded 2 and had a red card from our goalie in the other game. So there's that. We actually were managed to just hit a banger in the first minute, which we were unable to do in this game, which was hit the target. I don't even know if we had any shots on target. But what we can notice is that Amorim let Edwards stay at first and then took him off. So I just think he doesn't like trust his defensive work rate or something. He doesn't fully trust him in some capacity that he let him, because he obviously Edwards probably wasn't happy about getting subbed last time, right? And then he's like, all right, I'm not going to pull you this time. And then he just ends up pulling him 10 minutes later, which is definitely not a good sign for that. Israel, unconvincing, really, but not that bad, to be honest. He looked kind of goofy on a couple of the saves, but he did make most of them. Did concede 2, but realistically, I could have seen it been 4, and it wouldn't have been that shocking to me. So I guess he was definitely better than the last game. Had more confidence. Obviously, had more time to prepare. So I guess Israel, I mean, still has a lot to show, but I guess we can't count them out yet. Basically, is all that I took away from that, which is, I guess, good. Yeah, Esgaio with another shocker, man. Really was another shocker.
It's getting hard to defend him at this point. Even for Amorim, I know he did at the end, but like, come on.
He's really been a man of unlimited chances. He really seems to have gotten more opportunities to fuck up than basically anybody else. Really, he might have the most fuck ups without really severely being punished for it. So yeah, we'll see if this is finally the day, or if he'll be back out there for the cup game. Guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest is, I mean, you can't really take anything away from the attackers. Tricot, Pot pre-red. Obviously, I thought Pot was horrible in the game. Had a couple chances to break, maybe like 2 or 3, and all of them ended on Pot's foot, just taking too long, then trying to like shittily dribble 1 or 2 guys and just losing the ball and just fucking up. Like, we would break maybe once every 12 minutes to get a fucking chance to run out, and then Pot would just fuck it up every time, dude. It was getting so frustrating. It was like, almost don't pass it to Pot, just take one more guy on and try to shoot yourself, because if you pass it to Pot, it's just a loss, guaranteed. And then he got sent off. Still don't even fully know what happened. Words afterwards must have been bad. I don't know how soft it is or not, but yeah, it was pretty much the cherry on top of an absolutely horrible Pot performance. And yeah, I hope Coates isn't injured that bad, because it's the last thing that they need to deal with is a new injury, I think. So it wasn't even a troubled knee. It was a new one. So, yeah.
They said he'll definitely be out for the Tassa game. It remains to be seen if it's longer than that. But they said definitely out for Sunday.
That's pretty much it, man. Our best chances were almost having chances, you know? And then I think Sotiris might have had one shot from outside the box early in the second half, which failed to hit the target. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
For having 9 men, I guess it went better than expected. But
we didn't concede when we went down to 9.
They clearly weren't in a rush to go anywhere at certain points, you know. So it was just kind of a stalemate of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, just to read off some stats quickly. So he had 4 shots in total, 2 on target, compared to Marseille's 5. They had 16 shots in total. As you can see, the expected goal 0.2 to 2 exactly. And I mean, to be fair, up until the Esgaio penalty, I don't think we were playing too awful. But it's that the first challenge on Nuno Tavares from Esgaio. I know Nuno Tavares has been in the media and stuff, and I mean, like, it was probably most of the sporting team wanted to just kick him or something. But he goes in for no reason with just the elbow, which is a dumb foul anyway. But then on his second yellow, I think it's between him and Inacio. They sort of, the ball goes and Alexis, actually no, it was Harriet was running through, and they both sort of freeze, and then they realize none of them are going for it, so they both go for it. Then Esgaio, man, just catches all of Harriet, and he knows he's getting the
even. I mean, he's like a second late to the ball and just clatters him completely. Yeah, he's not even close.
And he tries to stay down to avoid the yellow card.
Yeah, and then he tries to stay down injured. It's just so pathetic and bad.
Yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention, St. Just the day before the game got injured, which is brilliant. 10 million
pounds. It actually looked like he was finally coming into his own. He's starting to, stretch the field with his speed, dribble guys, complete passes. Looked very good in the first half against Santa Clara. Comes out, we're like, oh, I guess they're just managing him, and then just gets injured in training. Fucking joke, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw someone tweet, it was like the only player we paid 100% of the pass for, when realistically if we got 50 or something would have been fine. But yeah, it seems to be a cursed player, definitely. But the thing is with this game, obviously with 9 men, you're not expecting something. But the way the game was going, Guendouzi got a yellow in the first sort of, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And I thought it was going to be them to get sent off first because they were playing with quite intensity. And I think that's what their manager makes them play with. They've got some obviously great players on the team, but Guendouzi isn't known for being calm. Either is Eric Bailly. Chancellor Mbemba's got a few red cards and he played for Porto as well. Nuno Tavares is a walking red flag pretty much. So I was expecting them to get the second yellows or the red card, but as soon as this guy gave away that foul, man, I just knew it was going to go wrong, and then I was proved right with the penalty shout. Inacio as well, man. I don't understand how people keep defending him. That is lazy defending from his onside. He literally
really looked like he was off too, so it felt like it was such a gut punch when they changed it. But yeah, he kept him on.
Yeah, he kept him on. It was lazy from him. And I think the only player I can say, you know what, he played with intensity and he showed that he still wanted to win was Nuno Santos, and even he was dragged at sort of the 60th minute, and he was playing up front. What annoyed me about Ruben Amorim, not only the squad selection, I still don't understand. Well, I mean, I do understand why he keeps picking this guy because there's literally no one else, and I don't know if you agree, Porro wasn't fit enough, but in my opinion, start Porro for the 45 minutes and then drag him off at halftime. I feel like that would have been better suited than just to throw Esgaio in. I know Esgaio's definitely got the more minutes, but he's definitely been the more shaky. If I would have said start Porro and then bring Esgaio on, and then playing Fatau as a makeshift right back, like he's obviously got great potential and he's got a great skill set, but as a right back, like he was doing skills and stuff, trying to take people on from our own half, and it's just like I don't blame the kid because he's a striker. He plays striker for Ghana, I'm pretty sure, if not a winger. And like some players you can convert to wing back. We've seen Nuno Santos is a prime example, but like some players are just too technical and too skillful to do that. And as Fatau is one of them. But I think this game really missed, especially when Eskai got sent off, a talisman, a talesman, like Paulinho. I think he should have came in. We were looking for a goal. Like we were still pretty much attacking. We didn't shut up shop. But instead, he plays Nuno Santos up front. He takes off Edwards again, which is boggling because he's the most creative player. Pot, everyone's been saying it needs to be Pot to come off. And I can understand Pot could play as an 8, which I believe he did because he took Morita off and brought Pot back. But Pedro Gonzalez, for the last, 5-6 games, has been one of the worst attacking players we've had. I mean, it's another one. I saw so many people say it. Like, if Paulinho put in that Pot performance, he would be slated. But because Pedro Gonzalez, I don't think it's as well like sort of insinuated that it was a bad game, that he was awful. He sort of gets away with it. But yeah, man, just the whole team just lacked. We don't have that mentality, I don't think, anymore. The mentality we had in 2020 when it was like us against the world. We can win any game.
Yeah, I don't think they believe anymore. And to be fair, I mean, I can't really blame them, right? Like, I don't really believe fully either. But
yeah, ever since the Chaves game, I think. I would say maybe even in the Porto game when Porro got sent off. Like, I'm not saying I expected to win with a man down because I'm not, obviously. But like Inacio just gave up on that offside. I'm 100% convinced he just was lazy and just couldn't do it. Pedro Gonzalez gave up by the foul on them in their own half, in their own box for no reason. He wasn't going anywhere. And then he obviously said something to the referee or said something to Mbemba or Eric Bailly. And, why? Like, he just gave up. And as a professional, you shouldn't be doing that. That's why I go back to Nuno Santos. Every ball he was running towards, I don't know about you, but I think he's been our best player by miles this season. There isn't another player. Maybe I can make the case for Marcus Edwards and Morita, but I think Nuno Santos has been like every game dropping either an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. This game, obviously, you got the 5.5, but I don't think that's a fair result. He played in like 4 different positions that game. And I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is, but something needs to change. But with Israel, again, I agree with what you were saying, that he looked a bit shaky, but at the same time, with a man down, there's not much he could do, really. He was betrayed by the defenders. The penalty the penalty that went in, like, it's difficult to save those. There was that one shot, I don't know if you remember, like, he came outside the box, and it was almost straight at him, but he sort of bent down and then put his hands up to, like, tap it over the bar. and I was wondering what he
Yeah,
was doing.
he parried it over the bar, but he overshot it. So like he went too far to the left, and his hands are like almost behind him.
Yeah, he sort of like ducked under it as well for some reason. I thought he could have caught it, but it's a powerful strike. But I would say the result is fair. I'm surprised it wasn't 4 or 5, considering we lost 4-1 with one man down. Considering we had two men down, and they've got some good players on that team as well, Marseille. But I believe something needs to change. I don't know if it's the manager. I don't know if it's the players. But
the problem is the places that you could really shake it up are just the places that it probably needs to get shaken up the least. Like, yeah, you could put Sotiris in there, but like replacing one of Ugarte Murita is just like not really priority. You could use another center back. You could use another outside back. You could use another like left back. You could use another forward. You could use like all of those things. A new goalkeeper, even. But like, it's just what's available is just not really setting. It was just never setting anyone up for success.
Yeah, I get people are saying that, like, I think, like, I don't know if I fully blame Amorim, but there's definitely parts that you've got to blame him for. The squad planning has been awful. We've got 9 wingers in total, and we've got what? 3
Where is Jovan
midfielders.
Cabral, bro? Is he dead?
Yeah,
We might need proof of life.
he was in training.
You've seen a photo of him in training?
Yeah, there was what he posted
recently?
his Instagram story. Yeah, I was.
Okay.
This is gonna sound
alone by himself in the gym or with his team?
No, with the team. I remember seeing it because I remember looking at his thighs and they were like proper like bulky, and I was like, damn, he's been in the gym clearly. But like, yeah, I don't know where he is. To be honest.
No bench appearance, not even a bench cap. Nothing. Just.
I also want to know what's happened to Roshinha, man. I miss him. He's solid off the bench, and
he's been there on the bench, just hasn't gotten in the last couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fair to judge like Sotiris or Master on this game. Master, I think, was okay when he came in. He seems to be maturing, and I think he should. I reckon he should come in. Like, if Quarters is injured, he should be the replacement, which I think he will be, hopefully. But like if it's Inacio, I think if Quarters comes back, it should be Inacio. Sorry, if Quarters comes back, Inacio should be dropped, and I think Master should play. There'd be just Master Coates or Matthews Race Coates and Marsa. But I'm looking at the Twitter questions now, which I'll get onto because all of them are about this game. So I'll start off with the first one, which is from Nuno Gabriel, saying, after being well positioned to advance after the 2 games, after 4, are we in dire straits, if not out? Agree or disagree? Chris, I'll give that one to you. What do you think?
We had a team go from having 0 points to having 6 points, only from playing us, therefore guaranteeing them the tiebreaker against us and the same amount of points as us, when we basically could have ended their campaign by just winning one of the 2 games. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty dire.
Do you think we're out of the competition? Like, if you were to make a prediction now, are we going out? Are we going 3rd? Are we going 4th? We go 1st,
2nd? I'd say that the betting odds would probably say we're most likely to finish 3rd. But I wouldn't be shocked if we crashed out completely or also somehow advanced. The problem is I don't think we're going to win in London. So that's going to probably put Tottenham through. And then depending on what happens in the Marseille-Frankfurt game, if Marseille wins that game, Marseille will be through probably because, they'll have a tiebreaker on us.
On head, yeah.
Yeah, so, if they don't, though, Frankfurt would still pass us then because they have 4, then they'd have 7, then we'd have 6, and basically we'd be probably in a win and in against Frankfurt for the Europa League.
Yeah,
that's a very realistic situation, right? Because Marseille's through, Tottenham's through because we lost to them, and let's just say Frankfurt wins, or even if Marseille wins, because if Frankfurt beats us, they could leapfrog us if we both lose, right? And then they'd have 7, we have 6, even if they started the game on 4. So yeah, I really think that we're probably going to be playing for the Europa League in match day 6, unless we could pull a miracle in London, which just seems so unlikely given our recent form.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're out. I can see. I mean, Frankfurt got destroyed by Tottenham, so they're going to look something to prove. And I think they beat Marseille in the. Didn't they beat Marseille, or did they? No, they beat Marseille, right? Or they drew.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Marseille, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me just double check that. Yeah, they beat Marseille 1-0, so they've done it already. So, even if Marseille win, then we're third, and if Spurs beat us, like you said, I don't think we have the mentality to win anymore, especially in Europe. I think the players have lost confidence. I think Amorim's lost a bit of confidence in the players. I mean, how many times in the last month have we seen from records saying Amorim is not happy with his goal and he's let the team know? How many times are we going to have to see that headline? And we're going to see it again, definitely.
He needs to keep letting them know.
There's only so much you can say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really don't think I think we're going to crash out, unfortunately. I would love to qualify. I would love to go to Europa League. But you have to remember, if we finish third, we still have to qualify for the Europa League in a head-to-head against second place from the Europa League. So it's not guaranteed as well. And I just don't think we have the mentality to win any more games in Europe. I'm as sad as it is to say, considering how well we started the competition. And that, again, like I said, we went into those games if we can beat anybody. It just it's not there anymore. And you can say with the red card and stuff.
Here's the scenario. Here's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be win or draw against Frankfurt, and we're into Europa. And then we're gonna be like, all right, we just need a shit house to draw, and then we're gonna lose.
Yeah, but would you say Europa League is? Does that, like, let's say if we get into the Europa League and on the face value, so I'm not predicting like a run or anything, we just end up in the Europa League. Is that a failed Champions League season for you, or is that expected? Or
it depends how good Marseille ends up being. If Marseille ends up making a run, then it's like, you know what? Honestly, the games are fucked, right? Both of the games are fucked, tainted. But, at the end of the day, like, this is a good fucking team, as evidenced by their run in Europe. But if Marseille doesn't even make it out of this group either, then it's like we're just a pack of wankers.
Yeah. I mean, because if
honestly, the jury is still out. If not making out of the group is a failure.
Yeah.
If it's fourth, if we finish fourth, I can already tell you it is. Yeah. If it's third, it remains to be seen.
I think just because the way we started off the group, it's got to be a disappointment. We were top. We had what, five positive goal difference. Now we're at 0. So it's like we conceded 6, scored 6. Frankfurt have scored 3, conceded 6, and it's just like we have gone so far downwards in trajectory.
We have the second lowest expected goals in the entire competition. Only ahead of FC Copenhagen from Denmark.
And they took a point away from Man City, didn't they? So
yeah, they should have to 0-0. Their XG is probably 0.1 in that game, but at least they got a result, I guess, which I would have taken. I would have taken 1 point from this series, anything.
But yeah, the next question comes in from Nuno Gabriel again. He says, more than obvious that we never should have loaned out Gonzalo Esteves, and even more obvious that we need to bring him back from that bullshit loan in January, especially since he's not even getting playing time lately. Do you think we should call him back, or do you think we should leave him there and maybe go somewhere else, shopping somewhere else, or keep this guy? What are your thoughts?
I think we're probably going to need it right back anyways, right? Because
there's that deal with Travos who just signed a new contract, I believe.
Poro's probably out. You'd think he'd be out in the summer, and Esteves is, while obviously a good asset and could develop into a future good player / starter, regular. I don't think he's there yet, but he is a good bench option, etc. Reserve option, when the starter's suspended. So I don't think he's ready to be the full-time starter yet. But at the same time, like, bro, they're not dropping like $8 million on a new right back in January. It's not gonna happen, right? And honestly, like if they were gonna do that for any player, it's not worth doing on a right back right now. So yeah, I just don't think that there's anything you can do about that this season. It's just fucked.
So do you think we should bring him back, or should we just leave him in
It depends. I guess if we brought him back, he probably would play, to be honest. So if we could get him back,
I mean, you'd hope so, but for some reason, Ruben Amorim will just play Esgaio till death.
Or he's going to continue insisting on Esgaio forever. But at a certain point, you would think that he would maybe look elsewhere. So, yeah, I mean, he showed flashes last season.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that meme before where it's like the guy's digging for diamonds and he gives up and he's like this close away from. That's what it is with Ruben Amorim and Esgaio. Like, the next game, I promise you, he's gonna
the banger's coming.
Back. Yeah,
it is literally so inconceivable to me that he really could ever like hit a banger.
I reckon he's definitely got one in his locker. I reckon it must be, Amorim says, oh yeah, if you train while you get in the team, you must be fucking Quaresma Trivela in them top corner every training session. But yeah, I'll agree. I think Esteves needs to come back, but if it's only if he's playing, to be honest. Like, I don't want him to come back and then sit with the youth league and play with the B team, because at the moment Estoril is a good place for him. I know he's not really getting the game time at the moment, but like that's sort of the ups and downs you have as a youth player. At least he's actually making the matchday squads and stuff. Like he wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, at least he's played some games as opposed to like Eduardo Quaresma, who's literally not stepped into the field yet in a Hoffenheim jersey for the senior team. A couple caps for the B team, a couple appearances for the B team. But yeah, I mean,
it's definitely a weird move.
Bleak conditions.
Yeah. But there's also that kid, I think he's in the B team, Diogo Travos. I think he's a right back, and everyone's saying that he should be given a chance. And I mean, at this point, I'm not against it, but it seems like in the pecking order, it's Porro, Esgaio, now Fatawu, apparently at right back, and then Travos. I don't know if Travos would be above Fatawu, but at the moment, it seems like Fatawu is going to be the third choice right back, which I don't think is a great idea at all. But, I guess I'm not the manager. But he also asked, Pot second John after that ridiculous first one, deserved, not deserved, or you think it was caused frustration as a team? To be honest, I think it was just frustration. He kicked the guy, and he was just, we were losing, we were 2-0 down. Like, I don't know, I couldn't really tell from the stream I was watching, but I don't know if the fans were booing or they were cheering or whatever, but they were definitely frustrated, and I think that was it. He was just frustrated, unprofessional, kicked. Probably didn't mean for the referee to hear it, or whatever he said, but I'm sure we'll see the referee's report in a few days. But yeah, what do you think? Was it just heat of the moment, or do you think it was just, I don't know, he was just unprofessional, I suppose?
Yeah, I think it's probably just heat of the moment, but I have no idea what he said. Probably never know.
Yeah, I think the referees do have to put it on the match report, so hopefully that comes out soon. But I don't know if those get released to the general public or not. But yeah, he also asked, after that amazing performance by his guy, do you think he'll play for us again, or do you think given his constant mistakes, especially with that shit show today? Right, I'm going to preface this off. I'll take it first. In a press conference, when asked about Ricardo Esgaio by, I want to say 11 sports journalists, he said that Esgaio is one of his favourites, but not the fans' favourites, because he came from Braga. Let me correct Ruben Amorim. He's not one of the favourites because he's from Braga. No one really cares about that. It's because he is shit. Like, if a player came in from Braga, like, I know Battaglia was technically Shavs, but he came from Braga, and in the first 2 seasons, he was good for us. Pellegrini come back from Braga.
His favorite player that he's signed, the club's record signing, is from Braga, and he is not a regular starter anymore. And it's not because he's injured at this point. He's definitely like 100% healthy. That's just manager option.
Mm-hmm.
So if honestly, if the leash on Paulinho has run out, then it's like, bro, how does this man's leash keep going?
Yeah, it's that, and it's like, Obviously, I'm not expecting him to throw his guy under the bus saying, "Oh yeah, he needs to be dropped." But like, I guarantee he starts next game against.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere, bro.
Vazim.
Sadly.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Like I said, it's awful squad plan, and we've got 2 right backs but 9 wingers. We've got so much depth for wingers, but not for right backs. We barely have any depth for centre backs at the moment. And to be fair, that is due to injury. I'm not. That's not against a knock on an Amorim. But even left back, we've got Nuno Santos and we've got Matheus Reis. Is there anyone else that I might be forgetting? But like, there's just no squad planning. 1 striker still. Unless you count Jovan, then it's 2. But like, I just don't understand.
Edwards basically is a striker now at this point.
That's true, actually. Yeah, but like, there's just been no squad planning, and like, whether that's a scouting thing, whether it's an Amorim thing. I know people keep bringing up the quotes of Slimani saying like, "Oh, he has his favorites," and like, I get the sentiment.
Every manager has his favorites.
Yeah,
let's be honest. That's also true. It's just you have to manage that in a way that doesn't lose the locker room, right? Which I honestly don't think has happened yet. There's no evidence of that. But you can't have the favorites too much, or then it just you create problems for yourself, you know?
Yeah, the thing is with Slimani as well, he was only there for what, a month or 2? And in the middle of that was the international break. If he would have just kept playing, like he was doing well, don't get me wrong. If he just kept doing well, then sooner or later, the press are going to start asking the questions and everything, and he probably would have made the starting 11. But yeah, people were saying, like, using that quote and saying Thiago Tomas was only loaned to get rid of Paulinho, like to keep Paulinho in the first team. Let's be honest, Thiago Tomas is not a good player. He wasn't at the time. He definitely was not touching Paulinho in any way. I know I have my biases, and I'll accept that. But Thiago Tomas was not a good striker. Good winger, maybe. Even at Stuttgart, he scored 1 goal in 7 appearances and not even good enough to make the starting 11. Like, there is no way that you can say that. Esteves and Esgaio, I will give them, because I think Esteves right now is still a better player than Esgaio. And they also bring the Eduardo Quaresma on as well. Eduardo Quaresma, he was awful, in my opinion, when he came back from that back injury, when he was in the team. I know he only had limited appearances, but he was at Tondela on loan and got relegated. Obviously not all his fault. But he needed to go out on loan. It's either you play out on loan, Neto's better than him currently. St. Just, I know he's injured, better than him currently. Matheus Reis better than him currently. Coates, I don't know if Inacio is better at this current moment, because Inacio has been awful. But that's what, 4 Inacio, 5 centre backs that are bigger than him. So you didn't want him to be loaned out to be our 6th choice centre back. Just like, I know this fan base has his biases to our academy talents, and that's completely fine. But like, there's got to be some logic to the statements. But yeah, what are your thoughts on it? Like, with everything, like the thing about Slimani's quote, do you think it's too true to the extent of Ricardo Esgaio, or is it just like sort of reaching and grasping at straws?
No, I think it's definitely true. I think that's one of his favorite players for whatever reason. He has a history with him. He went out and got him specifically.
Yeah.
And yeah, he definitely doesn't feel that way about all of the players. Yeah, it's just simple as that. He definitely. Yeah, I mean, he likes them all, and he favors them all in different ways, in different scenarios. Edwards is, obviously, we all know he's not a favorite of Amorim. He'll take Poth or Trincão over Edwards any day of the week. It's amazing that Edwards has even gotten in front of Paulinho sometimes now, which is crazy. That just kind of goes to show you that Paulinho's kind of fallen in the pecking order, even in Amorim's eyes at this point, because Edwards, one of his like not favorites, a dude who will take off at any opportunity, or if he's gonna start Paulinho, which of the others, if he starts Paulinho, then which of the other 3 gets left out? It's Edwards every single time. So we know that Edwards is clearly not the favorite, but he still gets some starts ahead of Paulinho, which is amazing. But yeah, I hope it doesn't like spiral out of control. But the thing is, the games and the matches just keep coming thick and fast, and there's no stop to it. So yeah, they're gonna have to hope for their sake, hopefully just smash Varzim and kind of at least get some pressure off their backs, because if they somehow fuck that up, then they're gonna be in big trouble,
Yeah, and it's at this point with Varzim that I think we need to rotate heavily, give some opportunities to Roshinha, to Arta Gomez, to Marsa, to Sotiris.
Which in theory isn't even going to drop the level, if at all,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no disrespect to Varzim, of course, but the way I see it, like some of these players aren't hungry enough to want it, and like from what I've seen, Arta against Spurs, obviously he scored that goal, played one game. I don't think he's even touched the field since that Spurs game. He might have made
one cameo. He played one cameo.
Was against Boavista? He came in
and he just kept dribbling and losing the ball like probably 3 times, and that was it. He probably had like 15 minutes.
But I'll ask you a different question. If you're the manager right now of Sporting, does Esgaio play for you again, or is it just the case of I'm going to wait till January, see if we can find you another club, or you can be a backup if you want, but like you're not starting again?
I don't think that he wouldn't necessarily be done forever, and also I don't think that they have the squad depth to be issuing kind of decrees like that. But
yeah,
he would be done for now. He'd be done for a while. He'd be done for the time being. He'd be done for a week or two, to kind of reevaluate things. I wouldn't be sending him out there again.
Yeah. Is it something that you just be like, okay, for the next sort of month, unless the injury, of course, you're not playing?
Realistically, probably like 2 weeks.
Okay, fair enough. This next question comes in from
there's the Varzim game. There's the Varzim game. Then there'll be the London game. Or there's a league game in there as well, right? There's the Varzim game, league game,
Casapia next, game. Right?
Yeah, Casapia.
Varzim, Casapia, who are above us on the table, by the way. So
he's not playing that game for sure. He's not playing Tottenham. Maybe Aruka. You could sub him in. And then after that is the last Champions League game. So yeah, maybe the end of October. So like 2 weeks. Yeah, he needs to chill out for like 2 weeks for his own sake as well,
Yeah. This next question comes in from Paul Rodriguez. He asks, are you concerned about Ruben Amorim losing the locker room? Pot was sent off for dissent. Porro yellow card for the same. The team looks to be losing more composure every week. Does Amorim have too much power in player transfers and team makeup? As Guy not up to the task here, but Amorim is adamant he stays. I'll give you the first question. Are you concerned about Ruben Amorim losing the locker room?
Yes, if they start to question if they start to question the formation, as well as if they start to question the favoritism thing. Because it's also starting to get to the point where it's like, do we even have the personnel to be playing this formation? I'm not convinced of it. If Porro's, especially if Porro's not out there, which hopefully he's back now. But when Porro's not out there, it's just like, this is not gonna work. And we're short on center backs. And if Kawasa's hurt, it's just like there's just so many injuries. St. Just constantly hurt. This feels like there's always so many people out that they just the formation just doesn't. They don't have the bodies to fill it in a way that maximizes it. That's just how I feel, at least. So yeah, if the players start to think that and they're like, "Oh, this guy never changes anything," then yeah, there is definitely potential for that.
Yeah, I think what saved Amorim at the moment is just the amount of injuries we've had. Because like the favoritism thing, yeah, I agree, is that it's definitely there. But like with Porro injured, are you expecting him to call up a youth player? Are you expecting him to play someone out of position? So I think as well, like with St. Just and Coates, these are key players who are getting injuries. These aren't like backups. These are like our top players who are getting injured. So I think that sort of saves him a bit of controversy for the locker room. But also, I see, like I said earlier, if he keeps going to them we could see the late goals. Like this headline that Record keeps saying, Amorim spoke to the team and was furious at them. If this is going to happen all the time, then they're gonna revolt, and they're going to say like, at what point is it not our fault? It's your fault for setting up the team this way, for playing this player. Because let's be honest. Okay, at the first Marseille game, I don't blame us. I blame solely on Adan, to be honest. And whether that's fair or not, I don't know. But like 2 goals were his fault, and then he got the red card. So for me, that is entirely on him. With this one, Esgaio again is at fault, and you can maybe say a bit with Inacio for being lazy. Pot as well. So those 3 are at fault. I don't think it's fair. Like I was saying, I don't think it's fair to Franco Israel, that result. I don't think it's fair to Matthews Race and Santos and all the other players that were putting in shifts and still got shot on. But yeah, I think for now he's saved by sort of the injury bug. But yeah, let me just start. See, there's another question. The other one is: does Amorim have too much power in player transfers and team makeup? Do you think he's had too much power with all these Braga players coming in and all these questionable choices, or do you think he's made some good signings? Just keep it up to him.
I think you kind of have to give the manager the power, though. To be honest, like that.
I mean, we've seen Varandas with that power.
I would honestly consider Trincão that as well. To be honest,
yeah.
Player that he's worked with before, and obviously they had the connections with the agent to make it happen. Everything worked out. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's had too much power, because he's definitely had some players brought in against his will. So he doesn't have complete control, but I mean, yeah, I'd say like 80% is like where you'd want the manager to be, right? It's his squad. He has to get the most out of the manager, he has to let the player pick the squad. Saint it seems like he was kind of a scouting kind of find or whatever, So yeah, I think it's a mixed bag, the signings. So they come from different places.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that he has too much control. I think he has the right amount of control. Definitely enough to be held in account for the squad being short. Yes, it's the admin's fault. But it's also his fault as well.
It's at the point as well where it's like, okay, if you don't give it to Amorim, we give it to Varandas. We've seen his transfer dealings before. Jesse Balassi and Fernando on deadline day is a key example of not having, I guess you could say maybe that was Kaiser, but all signs point to that being Varandas.
No,
Kaiser a day later.
Exactly. That was not Kaiser.
Yeah. Obviously it's not Kaiser, because he sacked Kaiser literally the day after deadline day. So it's like, okay, you're going to back the manager for one more day, and then he thought, no. If that is the case, then that's just stupid as well. But yeah, so I think Amorim does should have the keys to it. But like, I mean, Trincão has been sort of hit and miss in my opinion this year. Like, I mean, it's still October, of course, but
his flashes, but yeah, it's inconsistent.
Yeah, exactly. He has one great game, and you're like, man, I can see why Barcelona went to pick him up, and then the next game he'll just be absolutely awful. St. Just obviously injury prone. I mean, that's not really Amorim's fault, I suppose. Because
it is, because he missed the entirety of last season basically with injury, so it's not like.
But that was a shoulder injury, to be fair, and he did get that fixed in the off season, and then from this one, I think it's been a sprained ankle, then a hamstring, and whatever. I think it's the hamstring again for this one. So I don't really blame Amorim too much for that one. I'm trying to think who else he signed this window. Israel. I mean, I don't really know what he was thinking of that. There's no way that was a smart buy. I think. Is he really that much better than Diogo Calai? Like,
I don't know where he came from, how he came across that radar, whether it was agents, whether it was the scouting team. I don't know where Israel came from, to be honest. He's kind of a weird one.
Yes, people like record pushing, like Coates and Ugarte were telling him to come to Sporting, but it's like he's not been with the senior team. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe after they knew of the heavy interest, but not beforehand.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, maybe they just thought, he's at Juventus.
You got to sign this Juventus U23 goalie. You got to sign this 5th string Juventus keeper.
Exactly. Is he that much better than Diogo Calai or anyone else that we've got? Andre Paolo by this point, I've still seen the man play 25 minutes.
The guy that went to Turkey.
Diogo Souza.
Yeah.
Him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we should have just kept it in house. And again, like, I'm not saying that Israel's a bad keeper, but is he going to be that much better than Kalai? You're telling me at this moment, Diogo Kalai couldn't have come in instead of Adan and given a performance. He was on the bench. He made the bench with Andre Paolo in the Marseille game. I think, and for what I remember said in preseason, from what I can remember, he said that they were betting on Kalai to be the future. And so you reward him by not playing unless he plays against Varzim, but even so, I think that's going to be Israel again or Adan. But I don't know. It just seems this whole transfer window, it's just been misses. Apart from, to be fair, Morita, I think was an excellent pickup. He's been very good. But other than that, there's not a player that really moves me, I think. But yeah, let me introduce you quickly to our main man from the six. What's good, Danny, man?
I was battling 6 traffic just to make it back as soon as I could. I was listening into since maybe like the 25th minute, guys. So yeah, agreeing with a lot of what you boys are saying, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to ask you this question as well because I asked Chris and we were pretty much in agreement. Are you concerned with
dropped out, and then I came back and Danny was here?
Magic trick, bro. Do I think I don't think I agree with you guys. I think we could eventually lose the locker room, or he could eventually lose the locker room should they start questioning, like, bro, because I mean, he kind of admitted this press conference that he is playing favoritism, right? Like he admitted that what Slimani was claiming, there's some truth to it, right?
Yeah.
So there could be some backlash behind that.
But don't you think that's true about every manager to some extent or another? It's just
I agree with that's a good point too. It's just like when it's as stubborn as it is with him, and I know he's pinning a lot on, like, you know, players coming from Braga, like there's an extra pressure added to it. I think
he's also kind of looking for a cop out on that one as well. I think
he's defending his player. I think more so there he's defending Ishgayu while indirectly maybe defending Paulinho, which he didn't have to. But personally, I don't think it has anything to do with Braga. Maybe the price tag he can talk about. But if your players aren't mentally ready to just play through the pressure, should they play for a big in Portugal, whether that's Sporting Porto or Benfica? I don't think so. I just think in terms of losing the locker room, I think Amorim is just too good of a manager and has at least too much support from the core to worry too much about that. I'm more so worried about Amorim, which already starts to looking like he's close to losing like the support that he needs, at least from the fans. Because we all know this administration will do what they want. So I'm more worried that might even like slip through to them. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I know there's a lot of get rid of Amorim chants, and I'm not totally prepared for that. If I'm honest, I think that'd be a huge step backwards. So that's what I'm more worried about, him losing our support and then in turn losing his job.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. Do you want to give your thoughts on the Marseille game in general? I'll get the screen back up again.
Well, there's probably nothing I can say that you guys haven't already said. Ishgayu just is a bozo and fucking the pot red. What did you guys think of that though? That's what I want to know. I didn't hear what you guys said. That was a joke, right? Guy got a second yellow for laughing at the ref. I mean, as if he weren't fucked already.
He deserves it. Like, you know the rules. Like, don't give the send back to the referee, and you'll be fine. And also, the way he fouled the guy,
that was a hard foul.
Yeah,
he came through the back of him.
Yeah, it was definitely a frustration foul. So that's why I'm just thinking, yeah, it's deserved. He probably was so angry that he kicked him and was like, oh, for fuck's sake, fuck this, fuck that. And the referee was like, come on. Oh, is Danny frozen?
Yeah, he's frozen in his Joker smile.
He just could not believe that Pot got sent off for dissent. He's frozen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, yeah, it's tough. I guess we'll never know what he said, but we'll just have to assume it was worse than average, right? You would hope.
There wasn't much protest from Pot, I don't think, when he got sent off. I don't recall him being like, "Oh my god, that's so unfair." I just remember him like shrugging his shoulders and walking off. So I don't think he even argued too
Yeah, or
much.
maybe he did something else that wasn't on camera. Maybe he like shoved somebody. Like, do we even know for sure it was for dissent, or we're just guessing? I don't know.
They showed the replay afterwards. What happened was he sort of turned back, like to go back on the fence, moved his arms up a bit. So he definitely said something and like made a reaction. And then I think the referee just overheard it and was like, "Listen, I'm not having that." But yeah, for me personally, I think it's definitely a second yellow. Like, you should learn just to respect referees, even if they're against you, I suppose. When has arguing with the referee ever got anyone anywhere? Let's be honest. It doesn't make it make them change decisions or anything. Just means you're probably going to get a yellow card. And like, I think it was Nuno Gabriel. No, sorry, it was Paul Rodriguez saying Porro also got one for dissent as well. So this referee clearly wasn't paying about with dissent. It's the Spanish referee, I believe. But yeah, like, I mean, just learn to not swear at referees, and you should be fine. But in terms of the rules of football, if you're going by the rule book, any dissent towards a referee is a yellow card. I think even like swearing at another player technically is a yellow card. So for me, I was just like, it was fair. He obviously acted in frustration, which I understand, but there are just some points that you can't do that. Before we move on to the Santa Clara game, I want to ask you a question. And it was off Danny's point of saying that there's a lot of people that Ruben Amorim out, or like he needs to go, or something like that. If we finish bottom of this group, do you think he should, like, if I would ask you, do you think he should be sacked? Would you say yes or no? In your personal opinion, of course.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think there's anything that could get him sacked?
Yeah, continuing to have poor form in the league and being in like 7th, 6th, or 7th, basically where we still are in like February.
Okay.
So he still has some rope left, but it won't go forever.
Yeah. Denny, what do you think? I was just asking.
And I do think he kind of has a pass in Europe, to be honest. So I don't think anything he does exclusively in Europe will ever get him sacked, TBH.
Yeah, just that. Do you think if we crash out of the Champions League, finish 4th, do you think Amorim should be sacked, in your opinion?
No. In my opinion, I think, bro, honestly, with the team that we currently have, I don't think he should get sacked unless we don't hit like 5th. If we're like 6th or something, fine, sack him. Bro, my main, and this is probably a bad argument, my main argument, I can argue other things. Who do we get after Amorim? Especially given Veranda's track history of Sidas, Kaiser. Let's not act like he didn't try to get.
That's who we get, bro.
He
just named his replacement, bro. We're gonna get Silas, dude.
No, but
free agent currently.
I doubt Sidas. But realistically, who are we getting? Like, I see people on Twitter talking about like Mourinho right now. Jardin's not coming, bro.
Bruno Lage.
Cheap. Bruno Lage isn't coming, bro.
It will be cheap. Bruno Lage. It will. George Mendes will be involved in some way, I guarantee. If Amorim does get sacked, I will say it right now. If Amorim gets sacked, I don't care if it's a year or 2, or if he leaves, Bruno Lage is 100% be our next manager. I think it's spot on.
In my opinion, I don't see that happening. I see us going after Artur Jorge.
Dude, did you see the Wolves reporter who tweeted about the preseason friendly, about how chummy they were being with him pre-game? Amorim, Varandas, fucking Osen, Hugo Viana, and Bruno Lage were all being chummy with each other pre-game, bro. I mean, there are partner clubs. We have 2 clubs that we partner with in England, Wolves and Man City. They're an affiliate club, bro. Never.
You know who I think we're getting if Amorim leaves? Having a good season right now at Estoril, Nelson Verissimo, or whatever his first name.
One Lampiel to another, to Bruno Lage.
Bro, you're saying Bruno Lage.
That's what I'm saying. One Lampiel.
Verissimo. And I'd rather Lage 100%. I don't see that happening. I don't see Jardim or God, I see Pedro. You're right, but I just don't see it. And just on that argument alone, we shouldn't sack Amorim because to me at least, he's done more good than bad. And I'm not only talking about the winning the league. I'm even talking about the way we play this year. We're still playing decent, maybe not as good as last year. I think last year we played way better than the year we won the league. We were just unlucky to come up against the Porto that didn't lose, and we lost one game and we fucked off the league. This year we have the worst team we've ever had under Amorim. Facts, like there's no denying that.
But
I don't know whose fault is that. That's exactly where I was going to go. Do we blame it on the manager because the manager is the one that picks the team, even though the manager has come out on press conferences this year pissed that we sold Matheus Nunes? And then, of course, injuries come into effect, like you guys mentioned earlier that I listened to. You know, Amorim can't account for Bragança tearing his ACL, for Coates finally not being able to play hard. We maybe could account for fucking, what's his name, St. Juice for always being injured now because he had a history of injuries. So this is kind of not of a surprise. It's tough to say. I think the board and the coach should definitely take blame because I don't think.
Well, here's what the board would say. They'd be like, well, we had to like pay this, and this, so we had no choice but to sell Matheus Nunes. That's what they would say, right? But then the obvious response would be like, is the only reason that you're in a position that you had to sell Matheus Nunes to do that is because of shithousery over the past 2 years that have led you to a point, or 3 years, or 4 years, that have led you to a point where you need to like sell players in real time to pay for things from the past, you know.
And talking more than football, like canceling other fucking modality teams just continuing
to advance the NAS contract to stay afloat. And just selling players in real time. Definitely getting bullied a little bit by an agent as well in the process of that sale. Just looking like bitch boys. Yeah, bro. Just shithousery top to bottom.
And I'll keep it in just a footballing perspective, because again, and this is going off of Mourinho's words, whether we trust him or not at this point. His even words were, we sold Tabata. Who else did they sell to keep Matheus Nunes? Palhinha is whatever. Palhinha was always going to go. Okay, let's say Tabata and Plata, but specifically Tabata, who can really play an 8 still. So we can still have gotten Rochinha. Maybe we wouldn't have gotten Artur, but okay, we don't beat Tottenham 1-0 or 2-0. We maybe beat them 1-0. Maybe they score a last-minute goal to tie it 1-1. We're still happy with the tie against Tottenham. You know, but we won't get Artur. We keep at least Tabata. Tabata can maybe play as an 8 now that Bragança is out. We didn't necessarily need that Greek kid, but the Greek kid looks so far so good. So it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to the transfers. I think the more so is what really fucked us is we lost 2 crucial players in our midfield when we only had 4, and now that whole thing has been replaced. The only player that stayed from last year is Ugarte, and our midfield was probably what struggled the most last year with Palhinha being out. So transfers out. Can we blame that on the manager? I don't think so. I think that all has to go towards the board. Again, especially since the manager came out and was pissed about specifically Matheus Nunes. The rest of the positions, you guys are right. I mean, goalies, we've all been screaming for we need at least a good backup, at the very least a good backup. And I know there was a tweet that one of you guys shared that Israel looked Buffon-esque, which is, I mean, he was better than what we were expecting, but I don't think we were expecting much.
The author of that tweet just brought dick riding to another level.
100%.
Someone said he looked like a pro club's goalkeeper, and I was like, that is spot on. That was exactly what I thought.
He looks tall, lanky, and that's it. But I mean, the result had nothing to do with Israel, to be honest. I don't know how much of an effect him not taking goal kicks really affected our loss. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Maybe that's what injured Coates. Who knows? But listen, I overall I think it's a bad idea for us to get rid of Amorim. The real question is who decided to let Esteves go? Whether it's Esteves asking like, I want to play more minutes this year, send me out on loan. That could also be a case. I mean, of course, we have to question whose decision it was for Ishgayu, of course. I tried to defend them as much as I could. This year, I can't. So maybe that does fall on the manager. I just think we sold too much and didn't reinforce too well. And this team is so bad that it frightens me if we get rid of Amorim. Unless somebody comes in for the 30 million, fair enough. Like, if Wolves are going to be that crazy about it, go ahead with it. But if they're not, I might even hold Amorim ransom for one more year, if I'm honest with you. Because he still has that contract for one more year. Getting money for a manager isn't common. Fuck it at this point.
At this point as well, I was just going to say, I don't want to bring everything back to Varandas because I know people don't like it when we talk about stuff like that. But if an offer for 20 million comes in from Amorim, that he's gone.
Snatch it.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to return on your investment. Snatch it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't think any transfer fee is going to be paid, but
no,
if any amount of money comes in for him, take it. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be coming in. TBH. Yeah, but if it somehow does, but take it, I guess.
But I don't think that's the right decision to do because I think we're going to be
buy high, sell low, baby.
Facts. If only my stocks would do the same, bro. But I still think we'll be hard pressed, and I don't want to. I'll stop on this thing, but I think we're still hard pressed to find a better manager than Amorim. I still think in terms of tacticians, he's still one of the best in Portugal, one of the best in the league. I mentioned this the other day. I think Amorim, like Portugal's playing in a back three because of Amorim. Not because of Kaiser or anything else. It's really because of Amorim. Portugal being like the Portuguese league. Mm-hmm. And in terms of man management, actually nowadays it's actually tough to say that. I was going to say man management, there's nobody better than Amorim. But now looking at the Slimani and the Mathieu incidents and stuff like that, thinking about that, maybe I'm wrong. But even like locker room manager, I think he's still up
for
there.
young
up
team.
There.
He's still good.
For a young team, yes. Which we have.
You give him a team of you give him a Serie A team where the average age is 33 or some shit like that.
You give him Juventus, he's doing worse than what Allegri's doing.
Everyone's like a 10-year Serie A veteran. I'd like to see how he handled that.
Yeah, agreed. My last point is I want to know what happened. Like, how bad is our youth for us to like just thrown that out the window?
Because at this point,
bro, at this point, is there nobody better than Ishgayu at right back in our academy? Like, can little Nazinu not play not play right back at this point? You know what I mean? Like, we throw him in for left back at the Champions League. There's nobody out there that can play right back. Or like you suggested, Chris, like, is this formation even right? Like, can you not maybe try out? My only gripe with Amorim is that maybe with how thin we are at center back, can we maybe not try, if Coates is back, let's say Coates, Inacio, St. Just at right back to use his pace. You know what I mean? Like, that's only my thing, but aside from that, this team was just planned so bad, so horribly. It reminds me of 2019 when we got blasted,
and then it got really injury prone, and it somehow got even worse.
Exactly. So that's I think our biggest issue.
I don't know if this is reactionary from myself or not, but if we finish fourth and we lose another league game that isn't to a Benfica, to a Braga, to a Porto, I just can't see him. I genuinely think he should walk. Not that he should be fired, but he, for the sake of his career, should walk. Because there is no way after another loss in the league, this season is improving. If we lose one more time, in my opinion, we're not making second, or we're obviously not making first. We're not going to make second. It's going to be a stretch to make third. And what you say, I agree with.
Braga's falling off, though. Braga's falling off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's like the fourth consecutive loss, right? Since the break. They lost to Porto.
I was like thinking Braga was more a lock for at least third than maybe they actually are. So,
bro, even today, they were, last I checked, they were 3-1. I picked up my dad from work just now. They tied 3-3. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they blew it. So yeah, I mean, maybe they're not as a lock for top three as we thought. So maybe we could slide into third with a continued mediocre season. We're like the gap between third and second is like 20 points, and then there's like two teams way up there, and then there's everybody else.
But the way I see it, if that happens, we finish fourth and we lose another game in the league to a lower league team. No disrespect, of course. how does that season improve him? His stock just keeps lowering and lowering and lowering. And if we lose one more game, I'm worried about how the team works out. Like we said, the team cohesion, the team backing Amorim. Like we mentioned Ricardo Esgaio, but another one that I don't think a lot of people mention is Pedro Gonzalez. He's another favorite of Amorim that he last year especially dropped bad performance after bad performance after bad performance and was still in the team. That was when Marcus Edwards was on the bench. And that's why I think it was me and Danny who said, what was the point of bringing Marcus Edwards in if Partey's just going to get all this game time, even though he dropped stinker after stinker? And now there's Rochinha to think about. There's Arthur Gomez to think about. And still, Pedro Gonzalez gets all these opportunities. Obviously, he's not going to get it against Spurs of being sent off. But at what point do these players, especially someone like Rochinha, who came in from a starting position at Guimarães, to ride the bench, even though you're seeing this guy play so much worse than you? And what prospect is going to want to come now? At the start, when he brought in Nuno Mendes, Quaresma, all these youth players, the whole thing was based on youth and how he was such a great youth manager. Now he's throwing youth players in the deep end. For Tau at right back, he's obviously not a right back. We're losing 2-0 against Marseille. He brings on Nazinho. Why? Why does Nazinho need to come on in that moment? It's not going to improve his confidence at all. And I just don't understand. Like you said, squad plan.
He strictly throws Nazinho in like exclusively like idiotic situations.
Yeah.
Or in situations where the game is settled and he can like break a new record. That is where Nazinho is used. It is inexplicable.
It's escaping me. Did he come in? Sorry, did Nazinho come in at night with 9 down, like with 9 players or 10?
10. No, he came on at half 10? With 10.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it's something that Amorim was praised for his youth management, but now he's thrown them in the deep end. And as a prospect, I don't know if I would say I want to come to Sporting anymore. Like Gonzalo Esteves is a prime example. He was one of the highest potential right backs, I think, in Porto's academy. Even in Europe, I would say there was articles being written about him. Zach Lowry is obviously a friend of the show, has done posts and stuff about him, and he gets loaned out to Estoril, and it's just
he's not playing there though.
Exactly,
that's my concern. He's not even playing.
Minimal burn, yeah.
He's played 2 games and he hasn't even touched the match. I don't think he was even like on the bench last game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
that's my worry too. Is that okay? We loaned him out to get experience, but he's not even being played. So what experience? You might as well kept him here. He would have been playing more at Sporting than he would have at Estoril, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think, obviously, like we said, the squad plan is an issue, but a lot of these issues we're having with these losses and these draws are because of Amorim's squad selection. And he's not picking the right players. Even on the bench, he makes the wrong substitutions again and again and again. Bringing off Edwards in that Marseille game, the first one, was a crime, in my opinion. Why are you bringing off your most creative player? I wasn't expecting to win that game, obviously, with a man down, which is fair, especially the goalkeeper. But it's like he gave up. And I think this is what the team's seeing. Okay, my manager's given up. He's brought in Nazinho. He's brought in these players. Yeah. Why should I care? That's probably what... I can't read minds. Pedro Gonzalez is definitely frustrated already. Like, that's probably why. Another reason he's seen his manager give up, he's seen his team give up. Fuck it, I'll give up and kick this player and swear at the ref. I think the more he stays and continues to be stubborn, because that's one thing we can all agree on. He is one of the most stubborn managers, and I would say he's more stubborn than George Jesus at this moment in terms of squad selection and player favourites. It just doesn't make sense. Some of these subs he made. I know George Jesus is stingy with youth players, but at the moment, what youth player is Amorim promoting like to a high level? Inacio has been god awful. Look at that team. Look at the team we lined up against Marseille. There is 2 youth players.
Who else does he play though? Marsa?
I think
that's
Marsa
the only
needs
other
to come
option.
in instead. I genuinely think he needs to come in. Starting instead of Inacio.
Yeah.
I think another thing which annoys me about Amorim, and I promise we will move on in a second. After so many players after poor performances just stay in the team, and I will include Paulinho in that as well. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, why would you go to this team? I really don't agree with too much what Slimani says, and I don't agree the way he went about it. But why would you come to this team if you see Pedro Gonzalez drop in bad performance after bad performance? Especially like being a youngster, you work hard, you show up to work early, you leave late, you put in all this effort, and you still see Esgaio dropping stinker after stinker. And for me, it's just like he's got this reputation of being such a youth manager, but he's not doing anything for the youth at the moment. And whether that's because of we have bad youth players or not, I just think that, like Chris said, he's still got a lot of rope, but I think it's definitely going to run out. And Sporting fans, especially, not knowing to be the calmest of fans, obviously, they're going to start turning on him, especially these ultras that are now in stadiums. It's going to get worse for them. Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I don't even think they were booed that much, but it's going to get to a point where they're going to be booed as they were in 1920, 18-19 season. And I don't know if these players can handle it. I don't think any of these players, apart from Nuno Santos and Matheus Reis, have the mentality to continue and say, you know what,
Quatsch.
we would, or Quad. I'd maybe include Morita and Ugarte in that as well, actually. But
I actually don't know about those two, but
you reckon? But no, I just think the whole team, the mentality is broken. And me and Chris are saying that there's definitely not the mentality we had in the title winning season, which was like, we're hungry, we're unproven manager, unproven squad. But now it's just like, would you even say there's a mentality there, or is it just show up, let's see what happens, and then that's it?
Yeah, facts. I think the mentality is back to good old Sporting days, where it's just little old Sporting, and we try to get what we can. And oh no, the fans are yelling at us. Let's tuck our tails between our legs and walk back home, or you know, what was the old saying? Cabeça no ar or some shit like that. They would always do this, like they even memed it.
Levantar a cabeça.
Levantar a cabeça. I think we're back to those days. Because I'm with you. I that's the problem, Sam. That I think is the main issue, is that our mentality is so bad now. It's nothing. It's not even what it was last year. Last year, at least we were chasing like the title, and there was still some belief there. There was still some point to prove. We would still beat Benfica.
Even in losses last year, I was still like, okay, maybe there was that one Porto game where we lost, and that's because we just were outplayed. But there were some games,
and we were down to 10 men, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken,
I think we were. And but even Santa Clara, where we lost, I don't think we played awfully. But now it's like we go a goal down, or the other team conceding, and they just give up. They just do not care. And I think a lot of that is to do with the defense more than the attack.
Yeah.
But Pedro Gonzalez, like I said, but I'm seeing Inacio, like I said, in that second goal in Marseille, just completely give up on playing the offside trap. Matheus Reis and I don't think it was Coates, it was Marsa, I believe, played it to perfection, and Inacio is just walking back. And I think, the mentality needs to change, and I think that is probably on Ruben Amorim, because I don't know if you heard what I said, but the record articles we keep seeing is Amorim's gone to the team after the game. He's not been happy with the late goals conceded. I think I've seen that about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, exactly.
How many more times is he going to say that? And the players are going to be like, this is your fault now. It can't just all be us. It's got to be something that you need to change with tactics and stuff. But I think if I was Ruben Amorim, if I lost again in the league and I crashed out your Champions League, especially being first in the group with 6, we didn't concede a goal against Spurs or Frankfurt. To concede now 6, I know circumstantial red cards and stuff, 6 to Marseille in 2 games is just crazy. But I don't know if any of you guys have anything else to say about that.
Nah, bro. Just to your Inacio point, there's no defending him anymore. If there's a center back going to Portugal this year for the World Cup, it's that Benfica kid, even though he gave up the penalty. You know, it's definitely not Inacio. Inacio's been like a shell of himself lately. I'm with you. I think Marsa should take it. This is what I was the only, and I'll play devil's advocate. The only thing I have that I kind of understand why he had to play Isgaio, for example, and why he played Inacio. Why he played Inacio ahead of Marsa, I think, is just the experience itself. Maybe you roll the dice, but he's not in the position as he was when he first came over, that we're 4th and he's trying to get there. Fair. I still think you should risk that. Why he played Isgaio is that, as he said after the press conference, whether it's true or false, we'll see. But I do believe it, since he's coming back from an injury. Poru couldn't play the full 90 minutes. He can only play a certain amount. Now, maybe you start Poru instead of not, but then you risk him getting injured even more. Maybe they only gave him half an hour to play, and that's what he played, because he was always expected to come on. That's my only defense on why he played Isgaio this game, because I seen him, he was getting already a lot of hate before the game. But with that being said, it just brings back to the beginning of the season. Why are we getting rid of Vistivj, or why don't we have a backup plan to Isgaio? And then, I mean, we can even go further back as to why we
especially because Porro is so injury prone. It's different if like we had a right back who was always playing and never injured. Like Nuno Santos, for example, is a left back I don't think he's ever been injured whilst been a Sporting shirt, as far as I'm aware. Apart from
not more than a game or two at least. Yeah, exactly.
And like that's sort of fair because he never misses a game, and even Matheus Reis doesn't really get injured that much as well.
And here's the other issue, though. Even on the left side, I love Nuno Santos. I think he's having a great season so far. But we're playing a left winger at left back at this point. Matheus Reis is not a center back, and I don't think he was ever intended to be the center back. And albeit I don't think he's playing that bad, I don't think he's playing to the level that we saw last year, for example. Right? So again, I think our crisis that we're going through right now is all down to the start of the season. The way we planned the season, I thought it was poor. From preseason to transfers to everything, I thought it was poor. And that's what we're seeing now. And I can't wait for the World Cup, personally. I think there's still another 4 or 5 games until then. But I can't wait for the World Cup. At least the players will get the fucking break. Most of us, because I don't see any of them going to the World Cup aside from Coates and maybe Ugarte. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Morita.
Japan
they are. They're in Spain's group.
And Morita will play, even if Coates and Ugarte go.
I don't think they'll start.
Play.
Exactly.
No. So they might get some bench minutes or something like that. If anything, I'd almost say Ugarte is more likely to play.
Fatau
will get minutes.
He'd probably play.
Well.
Yeah. But Fatau needs minutes, so it's not like he's hurting us.
Yeah.
He needs minutes. Go ahead.
So Terrace will go. No, actually, no. Greece isn't going. So yeah, not even him. Yeah. So yeah, that's really it. To be honest,
that's pretty much it.
No one's going for Portugal.
No.
Trinkel ain't going.
I'm the biggest Pot defender here, and I like Pot. I think Pot at the best of his days can be our best player, but he's not going. Especially the way he's playing now, there's no way he's going. And I'm with you. At this
last 2 seasons, a season and a half, I would say, because up to December last year, fantastic, best player on the pitch.
He started off the season well, even when he wasn't scoring this year. I think he did well. I think he's on a slump of 2 or 3 games, in my personal opinion, of playing horrible. But I think also Pot, because he scored so many goals that first season, we're holding him to a standard of him scoring goals that we shouldn't. I think Pot has done more than just score goals. Although he has fucked off a lot of clear-cut chances. If I'm not mistaken, was it this Marseille game or the first one? It might have been the first one I'm thinking of, where he was through. It was the first one.
The one-on-one.
He was through on goal, could be 2-0, and he fucked it off. I'm with you. He shouldn't fuck those off, but we don't, and Sam, not you, I'm saying the Sportingistas in general, myself included, we don't even hold that same standard to Paulinho, who's our out-and-out striker. We coddle him when he misses his open chances, but we'll kill Pot when he misses.
That's what I'm saying, though. You could say, okay, I will admit I coddle Paulinho a lot because I love him.
No, but myself included, though.
There are people that will just shit on Paulinho for no absolute reason. I remember seeing a tweet after the Spurs game saying, "Oh, Paulinho didn't even mean that header." It's like, bro, celebrate, please.
He scored it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like if Paulinho was 1-on-1 with the Marseille keeper and did that, I just know the circumstance and the criticism would be different. And obviously, I know you can make the cases for both sides. I completely agree. But I just think Pedro Gonzalez, you could say he'd been in a slump of 2 or 3 games. But I remember me, you, and Chris saying that last year in January, and it just continued 100%. Going.
100%. Last year, though, he was battling an injury, and I felt at least. He's battling an injury. This year, he's on a little bit of a slump recently, 100%. I thought he started the season off fire. If I'm being honest, if there's a scapegoat in that front 3, I mean, one, Edwards should definitely be starting every single fucking game. It's Trincão, because Trincão comes in spurts. Trincão will play amazing for 30 minutes, let's say, and then he'll ghost the rest. Or he'll have an amazing game, and then the next one follow it with nothing. And fair enough, the kid is young. I like Trincão. I want him to get more minutes. And I'm with you guys. I do think there needs to be more rotation between those 3. Pot needs to sit his ass on the bench at times, or Trincão needs to sit his ass. Trincão starts almost every single game, guys. I don't know if we've all noticed that. Where Marcus Edwards is struggling, or he's the first one off at any point necessary. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. More rotation. And Pot shouldn't go to Portugal. I just don't think Pot has been as bad as people make him out to be, in my opinion, at least.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to go back to this point, and I promise we'll move on because we've still got another game to cover. This was sorry, it's covered it from James Rice, and I'll admit I'm probably being reactionary, but the way I look at the season right now, a loss to Chaves was unacceptable, and Boavista, Porto, okay, fine, it's Porto. We were 2-0 down anyway before the red card, but Porto are a great
drama
team.
behind it, like the game 2 was like it just fucked us off right away
with Mateus Nunes, yeah, of course, but like Chaves unacceptable at home as well. Boavista, was that away or at home?
Away.
I didn't watch that game
away.
to be honest. Yeah, away. But like, and then these 2 back-to-back losses to Marseille. That like, if this was Benfica or Porto and this happened, look, Porto lost 1 game, and I'm not saying this is what I want from him. And of course, I got stoned by the fans, and he was being called every name under the sun. Like, if this was any other club, I feel like Amorim would be so close to the sack than he is now. And what I will say is, I've said this so many times, football is a results-driven sport and a form-driven sport. You cannot go back 2 years ago and say,
Agreed.
But he won us the title. Claudio Ranieri is a good version of this with Leicester.
Yeah.
Because
he's going to be the new Claudio Ranieri, bro. He's like on his way there. He's well on his way there. You get a longer leash than you would normally if you didn't win the title. But it's not doesn't have permanent length. It eventually runs out.
Yeah, you can say like Thomas Tuchel as well, won the Champions League with Chelsea, and a year and a bit later he was gone. Like, these are clubs with, I would say, ambition, but like there has to be a point where you have to say, okay, let's say if we lose 1 more game in the league, 2 more games in the league, we finish 4th. You can't be like, oh yeah, but he won us the league. Man, we're 4th. No, we're 5th or 6th at the moment. I can't remember where we are. But I know it's not where we should be at a team this level.
We're 6th.
We're 6th, exactly. But to be fair, Casapia have been great this season. No knocks to them at all.
We're tied with Boavista, but they have a head-to-head on us, so we're 6th.
Yeah, so it's just like, there has to be a point where you have to say, this is a results sport. If the results aren't coming, what else can you do?
I think the big thing will be the next league game against Casapia, because then hopefully we beat them. Let me not jump ahead of myself. Hopefully we beat them. We leapfrog them. Things calm down a bit. We'll see. Because I mean, going to London is going to be tough. So let's see. I'm worried about Verzing. I'm worried about Verzing.
I'm probably being reactionary, and I get that. I'm a very
Verzing sucks,
person,
to be honest.
Still.
Yeah, but so do we, bro.
What was that team we lost to in 2018? Who were like in the 3rd division?
Lush.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, I don't want to repeat of that. If that happens, then there is gonna be shit to go down. But yeah.
And facts. And last thing, I just want to say with James, this is the same thing. I agree with you. Everybody wanted Arteta out, and now look at Arsenal. And no offense, Sam, I said you're giving me troops vibes, right? But that's my only thing that I'm coming at. I'm not even mentioning when I defend Amorim, I'm not even going to mention the title. I'm going to mention the style of play. I'm mentioning the way we play, the dominance for the most part. I think mentality has let us down.
Can I just counter with that point? I promise I'll be quick.
Of course, and we're done.
They wanted Arteta out, yeah. Okay, I agree. But how many people wanted Wenger to stay after he kept fucking up season after season, and they had season after season?
Tied?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm tied?
You need to wear the hat and all the gear. But no, there's just that he was there for 17, 8, probably even longer. And they were, for like 10 seasons onwards, they were just stuck in mediocrity, getting 4th, getting 5th, 6th. And it's like, okay, the Arteta point is fair enough, but you can go back for Wenger, who last won the league in 2004. Is that what you want, to have someone, okay, we won the league in 2021 and we're in 2031 and we've still not improved.
And to be fair, they did look better under Emery than they did when they were with Wenger, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay.
But they also changed a lot of the back room. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyway, let's get on to this last game, which probably won't take us long, but it was a 2-1 win over Santa Clara. Morita with the goal and Nuno Santos with another. Team as followed. Dan with a great performance after the game against Marseille. St. Just, Coates, Mateus Reis, Nuno Santos, Ricardo Guy, Ugarte, Morita, Pedro Gonzalez. Marseille was Paulinho. Daniel, give this one to you first. What were your overall thoughts on the performance?
Brother, I can't even remember most of the game. I do remember Morita's goal. I remember Morita actually playing really well. I was impressed with Morita. Getting vengeance, I guess you can call it, against his old club. Like I said, bro, I can't even remember. I know they scored like towards the last minutes. Or no, now I'm remembering. Second half was horrible from us, now that I remember. Second half, we just let Santa Clara have the ball a lot. We let them really get into our box a lot. Was not impressed. Adan, after the fuck up against Marseille, was huge for us in this game, because if it wasn't for Adan, we might have drawn, if not lost. Let's be real. That there was a huge save towards the end in like the 80-something minute. And it goes all back to the point that you were saying earlier, and I won't press on it too much, but it's the mentality. It's back to like the little old Sport thing, because I seen it here against Santa Clara. Even though we pulled out a result, I seen it especially against the 2-0 against Chaves. Once we went 2-0 down, we just threw in the towel. I especially seen it against Boavista, because we suffered there. They scored a penalty in the 80th minute, and then afterwards we couldn't do fuck all. Artur's some of it to blame, but we couldn't do fuck all. And this is I think this is the main issue with this team this season, is the mentality is just not the same as it was the last 2 years. And but yeah, that's all I can remember from this game. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, fair enough. Chris, what about you, man?
Just didn't put the chances away that we had in the first half. Santa Clara was so bad in that first half. They didn't even reach the goal, to be honest. They were so underwhelming. They literally had 0 shots, XG 0.0. Just they literally did not reach the goal the entire time. We were on top, but only managed to score 1 goal out of it. And then the second half was just very, very sketchy. I thought for sure that we were going to concede and drop points here. Don made a couple nice saves. Nothing particularly crazy, but definitely some nice saves that he should be making, but saves that you maybe wouldn't fully expect him to make these days due to his confidence and
crucial ones, at least.
Otherwise, yeah, he had to make the saves. They were going in. 2 of them at least were going in. So Adan stepped up, did his job, and we eventually scored the second goal, got the result done, and obviously they have to concede an idiotic goal after the 90th minute again. Despite, as Sam mentioned, Amorim's talking to. Obviously, they need another talking to for sure about conceding after the 90th. But yeah, on another day, this is easily a 1-1. And I think we're quite fortunate it's not. But at least we came out of here with 3 points. Our way to the source is typically not easy. It obviously, literally wasn't in the forecast for rain. Obviously starts raining. Which is, it's just always an adventure going into islands. So, yeah, we got 3 points. We got it out of the way. Not pretty, but I guess job done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to piggyback too much of what you guys said, but Adan obviously making up for a poor performance. And he was arguably, he was definitely my man of the match. Morita just keeps improving. Again, with the substitution at Marseille, I did understand why he was pulled off, but then he was pulled off, and then I was like, oh, he's keeping Edwards in. 10 minutes later, Edwards is off. So I'm just like, okay, I guess that doesn't really make sense, but okay. I think Morita's been signing of the season, and he's been a player that I think is just game on game improved and improved. Good to see Paulinho back in the lineup, although obviously not scoring. Still with a decent performance, I think. Not setting the world on fire, but it's definitely a good Paulinho performance, I would say, for him. St. Just again, I thought he was incredible actually. Like he was making runs at the pitch, taking on
First
players.
half was so good, yeah.
And then he came off, and I was like, okay, we're saving him for conditioning. That's fine. And then obviously the day before the Marseille game gets injured. I don't know if he was injured in this game or not, but it didn't seem to be that way. But yeah, it's just I don't understand, man. Why is he so injury prone? Just why is he cursed like this? And it seems to be it was a sprained ankle at the start. Now it's a hamstring. Before that was just shoulder. What next is going to be his neck or his spine or something. Like he just keeps getting injured in so many different places in his body that he must have done some deal with the devil or some shit. But yeah. The way I see good performance apart from the last goal, Dan got, as far as I'm aware, I think he got chipped again, which, I mean, that's all you have to do when you play against Dan.
Bro, I'm going to start putting money on that shit, man.
I mean, the odds will be terrible because it'll be like definitely going to happen. You get like a pound and a penny.
If anybody's paying attention, yeah, it would be a horrible odds.
But yeah, not much else to say. I hope we continue the form in the league. But I mean, with mentality, like I said at the moment, I don't feel too hopeful in that. Just before we move on and wrap up, I'll just give you, we mentioned the league earlier, but we're sat in 6th as well. Vista have a better goal difference than us, but we're tied on points. Casapia sits in 4th with 17. Braga in 3rd with 19. Porto in 2nd with 22. Benfica storming ahead on 25. 9 games played. Next game is against Casapia, which will be in 2 weeks' time because of the game against Varzim on Sunday. Just quickly before we go, boys, just give me your predictions on Varzim and Casapia. Danny, I'll start off with you.
For Zing, we're gonna respond with a. I think we're gonna respond well after this. I think it's gonna be somewhat rotated, not completely rotated, but a solid. I hope we keep a clean sheet still. 3-0 win. I'm gonna say 3-0. If not 3-0, 3-1. Casapia, if I'm not mistaken, that same weekend it's Porto Benfica, just prior to us playing Casapia. So, I mean, one of those two are dropping points. And we're already as far as it is. I'll take any little distance towards them to either one or to both as a positive. So I'll go in there positive, 2-0 Sporting to get one over Ruben Amorim's old club.
Okay, fair enough. Chris, what about you, man? You mute, bro.
I think Varzim is going to be a win, but not. It never is 3-0. It never is, even against these lower league teams. It's never more than 2. So I'm gonna go 1-0. But 1-0. It's gonna be 1-0 for a while, and then we'll win 2-0. But not without making it just a little interesting first. So I'm gonna go 2-0 there, and then Casapia. I'm gonna go 2-1 win there. Hard fought battle, but the better team eventually converts more chances and leapfrogs them in the table into 4.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I agree. I pretty much agree with what you were saying, Chris, that especially if he rotates the team against Varzim, it's definitely going to be a tougher game. But yeah, I think it'll be like a 1-2 result, depending on who's in the defense. I could see us conceding as well. But also, I think Casapia is going to be a very difficult game. I think people just hear the name Casapia and like, okay, like we should be winning that. But they've been fantastic this season. If you haven't had a chance to watch their games, then they don't just sit back and like a newly promoted team would. They play great football. They've got some nice little players in there as well. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a tough game. And I think that one will be a 1-0 or 2-1 scenario, just like the Santa Clara game. But yeah, I think we're in for a struggling next few weeks. Like you said, Danny, for me as well. I just can't wait till the World Cup starts and we have that break. Even though we have to watch Portugal, unfortunately. But yeah, at least it will give us a break from sporting. Any of you guys got anything extra to add before we wrap up?
No. I hope Amorim stays for at least another year, bro. That's all I gotta say. In my personal opinion.
Fair enough. So thank you all for joining us on this episode of the podcast. If you want to follow the guys on Twitter, make sure to follow Chris on Twitter here. Also follow Danny here. And you can follow myself here as well. And make sure to follow us on Twitter, SPORTING160EN for the most up-to-date news, transfer rumours. You also get to see tweets of our TikToks. Make sure to follow that as well. TikTok, SPORTING160_EN. Facebook as well. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're still about 300 away from 1,000 subscribers. It'll be a great milestone if we can hit that, as unlikely as it is by the end of the year. But, you know, strange things happened, I suppose. But thank you all for joining us, and peace.